Hey everybody, my name is Never, and this is a response to the question from the Dev Q&A, how do we avoid doing a stat squish every couple of expansions? So to dive right in, the first thing we do is the one true squish, where we squish max level down to 60 and items down to item level 100, because those seem like sensible numbers. From there, new expansions will no longer grant levels. Instead, we gain power solely through our item level. As an expansion progresses, we can move gradually from item level 100 up to whatever is necessary to keep the ideal power curve. At the end of the expansion, all items from that expansion will normalize to item level 100, and the content will normalize down to match it. Then the new expansion can have its own power curve from item level 100 up to whatever's necessary in the same manner, and then this can happen over and over again indefinitely, and the only change needed is to normalize the expansion's items and content at the end of its life cycle. The drawback here is not having old content be easily soloable without granting players some sort of legacy buff, though that would be a sensible alternative. I believe that this method could work fine, but there is another method to consider. Instead of having player power increase globally relative to the game, we can find power gains locally to a specific expansion or tier. In the tier example, when a new expansion is released, players progress through the first tier's content, including zones, dungeons, quests, raids, and everything. They earn empowerments that can be applied to their character that increases their power relative to that tier only. This way, players can progress as far as they want through specific content without affecting their relative power toward the rest of the game. When a new tier is released, it has its own empowerments that make players powerful against it, and so on. Empowerments can come in the form of new gear, or as items that can be applied to existing gear, or they could simply be like artifact power that applies to the character in general. There are a lot of options this way. Both of these ideas as presented are pretty vague here, but I did that for time's sake. If you want more details on how I've thought this through and solved a lot of the immediate problems that come from these ideas when presented this way, I'm happy to share anything that I have. My only object in this is to help make World of Warcraft as good as possible and as successful as possible. Thank you very much for listening, and thanks for making the best video game of all time.